Have you seen these perfect phasing yarns? Currently in Bernat Blanket and Colorama Halo, these cakes give you that gradual color change gradient that we've all been looking for ever since the first Caron cakes came out. Today we're going to take full advantage of this feature with the Aura Blanket pattern, designed to start from the middle with a soft, radiant circle and the drapey linen stitch that will make sure you take full advantage of these beautiful color changes. You'll need 4 cakes of Colorama Halo to make this 42 by 42 inch blanket and a 6.5mm crochet hook. And if you do find another perfect phasing yarn to use, just use a hook one size larger than the ball calls for and anticipate that your circle size will be slightly different. We'll begin with a magic circle, which I like to do by making a very loose slip knot. I'll insert my hook into this loop here, and kind of chain 1 just to fasten on. Then work 1 single crochet into the magic circle, and another single crochet into the circle. Continue making a total of 6 single crochets in the magic circle, and you can tighten the circle up and go ahead and slip stitch to the first single crochet to complete the round. And it might be helpful to mark the first stitch of your rounds in this pattern. We're going to work 1 more single crochet round before we start the linen stitch pattern. So work 1 single crochet in that first stitch and a second single crochet into the same stitch. We'll work 2 single crochets in each stitch of round 2 for a total of 12 single crochets. Again, slip stitch to your first single crochet to finish the round. For round 3, we'll set up our linen stitch pattern. In that first stitch, work 1 single crochet and chain 1. Into the next stitch, work 1 single crochet and chain 1. Continue working 1 single crochet in each stitch of the round with chain 1s in between them. You'll have 12 single crochets and 12 chain 1s. You can slip stitch to your first single crochet to complete round 3. So from round 4 on, we'll no longer be working into single crochet stitches. Rather, we'll work into the chain 1 spaces the linen stitch creates. So to start round 4, skip the first single crochet and work your first single crochet right into that first chain space and chain 1. We will also now work our first linen stitch increase. So work another single crochet into the same chain space and chain 1. Skip the next single crochet below and into the next chain space work 1 single crochet and chain 1. In the next chain space, we'll work a linen stitch increase with 1 single crochet, chain 1, 1 single crochet, chain 1, all into the same space. And work 1 single crochet and chain 1 in the next chain space. Continue working a linen stitch increase followed by a single linen stitch for each chain space of the round. And you'll end up with a total of 18 single crochets and 18 chain 1s after round 4. Slip stitch to that first single crochet. Round 5, skip the first single crochet and into the first chain space work 1 linen stitch by making a single crochet and a chain 1. Now on round 5, we won't be increasing at all. In fact, this circle will be full of increase rounds separated by these flat no increase rounds. So for round 5, just work 1 single crochet, chain 1 in each chain space. And you'll again finish with 18 single crochets and 18 chain 1s. Round 6 is an increase round. We'll start with 1 single crochet, chain 1, 1 single crochet, chain 1, all in that first chain space to do an increase. In the next chain space, work 1 single crochet, chain 1. and into the next chain space. Work another single crochet, chain 1. Now we have 2 single linen stitches and we'll work another increase. So the pattern for round 6 is to increase, then work 2 single linen stitches. At the end of round 6, you'll have 24 single crochets and 24 chains. Round 7 has no increases. Work 1 linen stitch for every chain space. And now you know all the techniques that you'll need to finish the circle, but I want to caution you against jumping ahead. This circle is 43 rounds total, and I wrote out round by round instructions for you because, unlike other crochet circle motifs, no discernible pattern emerged where you could guess what was going to come next without a written pattern. And as I was figuring out this one, every time I tried to make a predictable pattern happen, my circle ruffled or puckered, so every round I would check my circle to see if it was laying flat and adjust increases or flat rounds as needed. So just check out the written pattern. I'll flash the instructions up here so you can pause and reference to work your circle. Increase rounds are highlighted, and on round 43, you'll notice you only have 4 increases. We will use these to set up our new corners as we start to square the circle. To start the sequence for your first corner, in the first increase here, work an increase. In the next chain space, work a single crochet and chain 1. And in the next chain space, slip stitch. Chain 1 and turn your work to start working in rows for the first time during this project. Corner row 2. Skip your slip stitch and in the next chain space, work 1 single crochet. Chain 1. 1 single crochet, chain 1 in the next chain space, and increase in the center chain space of the increase from the previous row. Now we're kind of looking off the cliff to 2 rows below. You'll work into the last chain space of that round right here to the right of the last single crochet and chain 1, and in the next chain space, slip stitch, chain 1 and turn. For corner row 3, linen stitch in each chain space. In the center chain space of the increase, work an increase. Linen stitch for each chain space down the other side of your mini triangle, and make sure you work a single crochet into that turning chain from the last row. Chain 1, single crochet in the next chain space on your circle. Chain 1 and slip stitch into the next chain space on your circle. Chain 1 and turn. Corner row 4. Linen stitch in each chain space along the edge of the triangle. Increase in the increase. And always be sure to get a stitch in that turning chain. Work 1 single crochet in the next chain space on your circle, chain 1, and slip stitch into the next chain space on your circle. And you see our little corner is starting to form. Continue working just like this for rows 5 and 6, working 1 single crochet onto the circle before slip stitching and turning. At the end of row 7, work 1 single crochet onto the circle, chain 1, and work another single crochet onto the circle. Chain 1. Then you can slip stitch. and chain 1 and turn. You'll do the same thing at the end of this row 8, working 2 linen stitches onto the circle before turning. Rows 9 and 10 will end with 3 stitches on the circle before slip stitching. And rows 11 and 12 will end with 4 single crochets onto the circle before slip stitching and turning. Then, finally, at the end of row 13, your first corner is done, and you can simply continue on in linen stitch along your circle, working up to your next increase. Then you get to work that 13-row corner sequence all over again. But there's one difference between the first corner and the remaining 3 corners, so I'll show you that now. After you work row 1, chain 1, turn, head back the other way. On the rest of the corners for row 2 only, you'll end with 2 linen stitches back onto your circle. This is to account for the fact that we're working back over this current round of the whole circle, which we weren't dealing with on corner 1. So other than that change on row 2, every row for the corners is going to be the same as before. So work all 13 rows and then head over to the next corner. Now, as I was working towards corner 3, I noticed that my yarn was about to change color and start heading into that darker blue a bit early. I wanted to make sure my entire squaring the circle sequence was the same light blue. So I cut my yarn and grabbed my second yarn ball and started unwinding it from the outside. You can see the cakes are wound in little bundles of each color change, and I'm trying to get back to this lighter blue here. So I'm going to keep unwinding these 2 bundles until I see the color change and start to get lighter. Now that I've got the outer bit of my second ball wound up to the same color that I left off on my circle, I'm going to cut this yarn and put the middle aside for now. Then just tie the yarns together back on my circle, and you can kind of pick up on camera that they're not at the exact same point of the color changes, but the results still turned out beautifully, so don't feel pressure to nail this color part 100% perfectly. But now you can continue on, finishing the other corners at both of the remaining increases. And after you've finished your last corner, you'll quickly arrive at the tail end of your first corner. So work all remaining chain spaces, and then when you come to the last slip stitch of the end of that first corner row 12, what we want to do is slip stitch to this first single crochet here from the start of that first corner's row 13. So go ahead and chain 1 and slip stitch into that single crochet to complete the round. We are now officially back to working in the round, and I gotta say, the pattern gets really easy from here. All we need to do now is work 1 single crochet right into that next chain space, and you may want to mark that first single crochet. It will be the first stitch of our new square rounds that we'll be working. Continue on in linen stitch, single crochet chain 1 in each chain space, right up to the tippy tip of your new corner. And into that center chain space of the increase, work an increase, and continue in linen stitch. And that's it, my friends. Now you can grow your blanket as big as you'd like, working in the round in linen stitch with 1 increase at each corner. As you run out of yarn, you can attach a new cake matching up end to end, so if you end a cake with an outer color, Attach the outer yarn end of a new cake and work towards the middle. When that cake ends, add a new cake starting from the middle yarn end to maintain your perfect color phasing. I just wanted to point out that this isn't the world's flattest project, because squaring this circle was no easy feat, and crochet in the round without turning naturally wants to twist a little bit. So just know that if your project is slightly ruffly, everything is totally normal. So anyhoodle, you can keep going and make this blanket as large as you'd like. But I used 3 cakes for my 24-inch blanket, and I wanted to add a little fancy border. So as I was getting towards the end of my 3rd cake, after I had one row that was all blue single crochets, I had about this much yarn left, and I thought it would be enough to start a border. This border is a modified star stitch so that it fits the linen stitch. To begin the border, into my first chain space, I'm going to slip stitch and chain up 3. Then I'm going to go into that second chain and pull up a loop. Into the first chain, pull up a loop. Into the same chain space that I came out of, pull up a loop. I've got 4 loops on my hook now, and I'm going to yarn over and insert into the next chain space and pull up a loop. Now I have 6 loops on my hook, and I can yarn over and pull through all 6 loops. And chain 1. Now we can work all the other star stitches, similar but different. To work the next star stitch, insert your hook into that last chain 1. It kind of looks like the belly button of the first star stitch here. So insert there and pull up a loop. Then there's this bar below coming out of the chain space. Insert into the bar and pull up a loop. Insert into the chain space, pull up a loop. With 4 loops on the hook, yarn over and insert into the next chain space, pull up a loop, 6 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 6, chain 1. Let's repeat that again. Into the chain, into the bar, in the chain space, yarn over, and in the next chain space, 6 loops, pull through 6, chain 1. Continue working these modified star stitches along the border. And when you've worked right up to the last chain before an increase, I'll show you how we're going to turn that corner with our star stitches. The corner sequence will be work a regular star stitch, then complete another star stitch, but yarn over and insert into the same chain space rather than the next chain space. Then work a regular star stitch into the corner chain space. Work another regular star stitch, and again work a star stitch but yarn over, and for the 6th loop insert into the same chain space again. Now you can continue on with your star stitch border up to the next chain space before a corner, and work the corner sequence again. After your star stitch border has made it all the way around, we have this gap here to contend with. The solution that I thought looked the best was to get the 5 loops on my hook, as if I'm starting a new star stitch. And for the 6th loop to insert into the first chain from the starting chain. Pull through, chain 1, and slip stitch to the top of my first star stitch. Now your border is not quite done. We have another easy row to do. Going right into those star stitch belly buttons. I really don't know how else to describe them. But slip stitch over to the first one and chain up 2. This will count as a half double crochet. We're going to work another half double into the same belly button. And in the next little star stitch spot, work 2 half doubles. Now we're not going to work 2 half doubles in every belly button. I did that at first and it got a little ruffly. So the sequence is actually 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 1. 2 half doubles, 2 half doubles, followed by 1 half double. When you get to your corners, you can put 2 half doubles in each of those 5 corner star stitches. You can tell they're corner star stitches because it looks like they're sharing a chain space. And once you've cleared the corner star stitches, you can work 1 half double into the next star stitch, and then resume the 2, 2, 1 sequence. I had a little bit of yarn left over, so I did one last round of straight single crochet, but that's totally optional. And that is how you create the Aura blanket. This pattern was a labor of love, y'all. You do not want to know how many times I unraveled parts and started over, but it was worth it because this pattern is completely unique and has that wow factor. And it's also just a really solid blanket. It's drapey and comfy and soft. I love it. I hope you do too. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye!